Welcome to Rise Up with Rise Growth Partners, the podcast created to inspire wealth advisors and elevate firms, one transformative idea at a time. Joe Duran and the Rise team share hard-won lessons from building top wealth management firms, showing you what it takes to create a lighthouse brand that inspires clients, attracts talent, and fuels growth. Together, we'll look at where the industry is headed so you can stay ahead of the curve. We're here to be the coach we wish we had along our journey. Let's dive in.
Hi, Terri. Great to see you here on Rise Up with Rise Growth Partners.
Hello, Jennifer. It's great to be here at Rise Up. This is my first time, so I'm really excited about this show.
Yes, so let's introduce you to the audience. So Terri Kallsen here is my colleague at Rise Growth Partners. She's a managing partner here and our head of partnerships, and she's also the incoming chair of the CFP board. So we're excited to have you here today, Terri. Thanks for joining. Recently, you wrote an article. I love the title, so I'm going to read it. If ChatGPT were an employee, it may have been fired. I found that very cheeky and fun. So tell the audience what made you come up with this topic to write about?
Well, I want to share the story because it is actually a really telling story about how you can rely on AI, but you really have to use your best judgment, your best expertise, and your professionalism in this process. So as a member of the CFP board, the incoming chair, one of the things that we get to do is to really work on our technical skills, is we get to write articles or different workbooks for the CFPs of the industry. There's 104,000 CFPs in the United States today. And we create workbooks or playbooks for them in particular topics that a CFP would deal with as kind of a guide in how to help clients. And believe it or not, in this particular case, I was asked to write and provide expertise in the area of divorce. Now, I've never been divorced. I don't plan to have a divorce, but I like to be in things that really stretch my thinking and stretch what I'm doing so that I can be more helpful and I don't bring any particular biases. So in this case, I started working with our general counsel at the CFP board, and we started working on this workbook. And so I was coming up with, these are some of the things on the technical side you can be working with partners in the divorce, and what are some of the steps. And so I'm a very visual learner. So one of the things I tried to do on these workbooks is they get a little dry and technical. So I wanted to create a flowchart because I find flowcharts, if this, then. And so I wrote the technical component. The content was there in terms of the lawyers and the different contracts. And then I thought, I'll just ask ChatGPT to create a visual for me. And this will make it awesome. And again, this was all volunteer work, so I was enjoying the learning part of it. So I typed it in and we had all the content. And then I said, can you please create a flowchart? And so ChatGPT said, sure, I'll do that with such great confidence. They said, yeah, I'll take care of it. It's just going to take me a little while. Could you check back in about 2 hours? And it happened to be a Saturday morning. So I thought, okay, I'll go run some errands. I'll come back. My assistant will have it ready and I can just wrap this up and move it on. I come back. I asked ChatGPT, hey, where's my flowchart? We're going to have to really work on that. I'm going to need a few more hours. I'm gathering more data. So check back with me tomorrow. Not kidding. Like a very pleasant, a very respectful way to tell me, it's not going to be available. So I thought, okay, well, I've never run into this before, but that's fine. Maybe I didn't give it enough notice like a human. So I don't want to ruin their Saturday either. So the next Sunday morning I wake up, I'm ready to go. Still nothing. And now I'm starting to wonder, is this actually really going to happen? Well, the reality is they're not capable of the code of the visualization of the flowchart of what I needed at that time. Now, over time, I know it will get there.
Yes.
But what I thought could work so beautifully for a client workbook just didn't work out. And then I had to actually create it, through old tools like Visio and things like that then still show up in the technical component. So my message is, if that were my employee, I'd be like, can you really do this? Are you
Right.
capable and are you allocating?
Overpromise and underdeliver.
Yeah, that's a great way to say it. And so, word to the wise, make sure that ChatGPT can actually do, because,
Yeah.
he or she sure sounds confident when they tell you just wait a few more days, and then it never comes and you
Yes.
get behind on deliverables.
Well, as a marketer, I can attest I've had similar experiences because I have a vision of what I want to accomplish. And even with all the prompts, sometimes it comes out perfectly and I say this is great and I can just run with it. And other times I find myself arguing back and forth with ChatGPT or whatever tool I'm in. Um, but let's dial. That's a great story, and it gets me thinking about what advisors are experiencing as they dive in to using these tools more. You mentioned this, how all the educational content the CFP board comes up with. What are you seeing and hearing advisors wrestling with as they start use? Are they interested? Are they using them? Where is this all heading for advisors?
Well, there are some stats that I actually pulled for the CFP board and thinking about this article and writing this article. And the CFP board has been very focused on how to leverage AI to support advisors, CFPs, but not replace them. And we still need the human component of this relationship.
Mhm.
But 96% of all advisors believe that AI has the potential to transform our client service and our financial planning over the next 3 years. And they really believe this. So advisors are very well aware of it, but 41%, at least as of mid-year 2025, now it's probably changing now as we get to the end of the year, 41% of CFPs and advisors are using AI in one way, shape, or form. Probably the biggest way they're using it right now is recording notes of meetings
Yeah.
and creating follow-up checklists that are easily embedded into their CRM system. And I'm hearing from advisors, this is saving at least an hour per client appointment to do this.
Mhm.
And where they used to have someone else do it, now it can all be done without human intervention, except checking and rechecking to make sure it recorded it accurately, which takes
Yes.
about 15 minutes per process. But 97% advisors really believe that the greatest impact of AI will come over the next 3 years. So all of us need to be aware, reading, understanding, taking AI courses. I just heard a quote just in the last week that the provider said, you're not going to get replaced by AI. The human will
Yeah.
not be replaced by AI, but you'll be replaced by a human who knows how to use AI. And I thought that
Yes.
was a really good message that all of us need to commit ourselves to continuous learning, continuous understanding to improve the ability we have to serve our clients and meet more needs.
Yes. That is an interesting quote. And I would think that that percentage in the low 40s of adoption, I would imagine it's going to get way higher very quickly. Um, and you mentioned trust. So I obviously we all talk about this being a trust-based business. How do you see advisors take using AI to provide, say, different, I think of it as like a different type of value, like well beyond the numbers? Where do you think they're going to spend more of their time? You mentioned using AI more for practice efficiency, but where do you see it heading?
Well, I really think, what we're going to do with AI, at least in the offices that we serve at Rise Growth, is we're starting in the back office
Mhm.
and using AI to transfer operations, to do portfolio reviews, to highlight any anti-money laundering alerts or fraud alerts
Mhm.
from a compliance standpoint, helping with the KYC, know your client. All
Yeah.
of that can be done now through artificial intelligence, providing alerts, providing red flags. And then the human, like myself or others in the operations component, need to look at that and check for accuracy. But it's now done electronically 90% of the time and can really save hours in a day. So
Mhm.
advisors can spend more time working with clients. We also talked about portfolio reviews. and automatic rebalancing. Remember, automatic rebalancing isn't always something new, but it's getting much more targeted. So in my prior roles, we did automatic rebalancing for some clients, but you always needed a human to make sure that it was correct and that you had the conversation. It is much more advanced and automatic tax loss harvesting. But these are capabilities that are already in place, and we're starting to leverage these to save clients time and to save advisors time, because now all of this is available in the client portal. They can get their technical plans, they can get their investment plans. But here's where the clicker is, Jennifer, is that we found in financial planning that if a client can access the data early, and then you use the conversation for empathy, understanding, active listening, and providing guidance and advice, you can actually save the client time, save the client a headache in the process. And you're using your time now for behavioral insights versus going over data and, numbers that have meaning, but it's really the impact on the client's lives that has the most impact. So we're really seeing a move to more information with empathy, and that combination of what I've always said, high tech meets high touch. And that's where the magic is in this business.
Right. That's where the client feels the value. They don't feel the value when you're stuck doing all the operational work behind the scenes. So it's great to see that it's quickly making us so much more efficient, so we could put our time into that human side. Terri, speaking of trust, I did see an interesting quote that I'm going to read, because there are some risks here. And it was, I believe the SEC and FINRA actually shared this stat that 77% of consumers don't trust businesses to use AI responsibly. So that's the other side of this is it could get you into trouble if you're not careful as an advisor.
Yeah. So I think having transparency with our clients is very important, that I'm leveraging this tool. The output that you get may look a little different. I want to assure you that I've seen it, that our team has reviewed it, and that we're going to talk about it, most importantly, right? Because clients trust their advisors. They may not trust AI, but they need to know that you, just like the example I gave with the flow chart, are checking and rechecking with your AI agent, whichever one it is you choose. And I wanted to just share something that as I wrote the article, I thought a lot about. And there's expertise that every advisor brings to the table. And expertise is so meaningful. That is what your clients are hiring you for. And then there's efficiency. And efficiency is really about maximizing your expertise while minimizing the amount of time you have to put into it. So it's maximizing the output while minimizing the input. And if you can have ChatGPT provide and help with the input, then your output, your expertise you deliver to the client in the areas of estate planning, wills, investment planning, tax preparation, all of those, that expertise will be valued from the eyes of the client. Not the data and the input that gets put in, but it's your translation, it's your signature on it that makes the biggest difference.
I agree. And hopefully that's good news to advisors. They could put more time in retooling and upgrading their expertise, maybe go for that next designation or training that's going to, elevate their game, since they don't have to spend so much time on the back end.
Well, as a CFP and an advisor working with clients, the number one thing that clients want is proactive contact. They want to know their advisors is thinking about them in a very personalized, customized way. And so AI gives us the ability to do that multiple times if that's what the clients want, through AI articles, AI content. The other thing I'm so excited about with AI is I've always been a big believer in life events, and there are 7 life events in this world that people go through that do trigger money discussions and money action, right? And I don't have to roll off all 7 because I know our readers, our listeners they know of them, but things like marriage, divorce, buying a house, changing jobs, moving, planning for retirement, living in retirement, and living a legacy. These are all major life events that do trigger different money movement in our lives. And now with AI, we can actually start to predict that based on the client's behaviors and our conversations, and provide content for clients that need to know at the time they need it, just in time, we call it, in a very meaningful, personalized way that we continue to demonstrate we know our clients and we know their situations.
Makes sense to me. I think I went through a couple of those life events not too long ago, joining Rise and becoming
Yeah.
an empty nester.
Yeah, you know what, Jennifer, I love to share this stat because it's one that I've been thinking about for years, literally. Most people in our generation and Generation Y move on average, changing zip code 11 times in their life.
Wow.
And with that, more than half of those are job change related.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're talking about changes to your 401k, to
Yeah.
your bonuses, to your home, to your mortgage, to your insurance, to stock plan options. These are major life money events 11 times in your life. And if you don't have an advisor that you trust, you could be making decisions that may not be the right path for you long term. And so I just highly recommend for an advisor to have AI to be able to predict these life events in a meaningful way to create that in-depth relationship with your clients and prospects.
That's a great tip. And I'll ask you for one more. If you have one more tip to leave with advisors before we go today, what would you encourage them to think about?
Well, it has to do with really planning for client relationships, because now we have much more information at our fingertips. And so one of the things that I highly encourage our advisors to know is always have your client's goals available and read them before each meeting with them, before every interaction, and then afterwards. And then find a way to help those clients achieve those goals. Like, for example, Jennifer, I know that you have 2 children in college and you had 529 plans. When every time you've made a deposit into those 529 plans because your advisor knew that was important to you, we should be celebrating those things, like interacting in a meaningful way and celebrating all the life events that clients have. So as advisors, know what's important to your client, use AI to understand that, use AI to communicate with them either through different written forms, video forms. Use that like this. People love to watch videos. I read a stat recently that 80% of communication is now delivered through video and video alone. And so use the tools you have to make a meaningful commitment to personalizing your relationship with your clients this year, next year, and for their lifetime, and then their beneficiaries. It's all possible with AI.
Great tips, Terri, and thank you for joining. It was great to have you here, and you'll definitely be invited back. For our audience, I'd like to ask you, please tell us, what else would you like to hear about on Rise Up? We're happy to hop on and answer your questions. And please like, subscribe, and share, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, Terri.
Thank you, Jennifer.
You are listening to Rise Up with Rise Growth Partners. If we helped you to rise up today, please subscribe to the show so you don't miss future episodes. Leave us a review to tell us what you loved, what topics you'd like to hear, and please share it with others in the industry. After all, we're here to rise up together.